You sure you're in the right place, old-timer? Pretty dark in there for someone who probably needs reading glasses. The voice belonged to Staff Sergeant Kyle Davis, 28, lean and confident. He stood with arms crossed outside Building 14, the Army's classified night operations training facility at Fort Bragg. His tone carried that edge of amused condescension. Raymond Carter, 81, stood quietly near the equipment cage. His weathered hands rested on the chain-link fence, eyes fixed on rows of night vision goggles inside. Generation 3, infrared lasers, thermal optics. He didn't respond, just watched. Behind Davis, 3 younger soldiers clustered, specialists, fresh from Ranger School, scheduled for advanced night infiltration training, low-visibility navigation, silent movement. One of them, Specialist Martinez, nudged his buddy. "Dude, is that somebody's grandpa?" "Probably got lost looking for the commissary," another laughed. Davis walked closer. "Sir, I need you to step away from the equipment cage. This is a restricted training area." Raymond turned slowly. His pale gray eyes met the sergeant's. "I have authorization," he said quietly. "General Morrison sent for me." Davis frowned. "General Morrison. Right." He pulled out his tablet. "I don't see any civilian consultants on the roster. Your name?" "Carter. Raymond Carter." Davis typed, scrolled. "Nothing. Sir, I think there's been confusion. The general's office is in the main building." "I was told to come here," Raymond said. "Building 14, 1400 hours." Martinez stepped forward. "Sir, this facility is for special operations training, physically demanding. Maybe you're thinking of the Veterans Outreach Program?" The condescension was gentler, paternal, but still there. Raymond's gaze drifted to the compound, a massive structure, blacked-out windows, multiple levels. Inside was a maze designed to simulate combat environments, all in complete darkness. Soldiers trained for weeks, learning to move like ghosts. He'd heard they'd improved it. Better technology. Safer. Back then it was just jungle. Real darkness. Real death. "I can still move in the dark," Raymond said. Davis's patience thinned. "Look, sir, with respect, this isn't for sightseeing. We're running a high-intensity drill. Night navigation. Threat detection. It's dangerous." He gestured toward the compound. "You can't see your hand in there. These soldiers train for months. It's not something you just walk into." Raymond's hand moved to his jacket. On the left breast was a small patch, faded almost to invisibility. Black background, white skull wearing primitive night vision goggles. Below it, Wraith Unit. "What's that supposed to be?" Davis asked. "Some Halloween badge?" A specialist snickered. Raymond looked down at the patch. His fingers traced the outline. For a second, the facility dissolved. The air turned humid. Smell of diesel replaced by rotting vegetation. He was 30 again. The jungle alive with sounds, enemy patrols, and he was invisible. He blinked. Back to the present. "It's from a different time," Raymond said. Davis was done. "Sir, I'm asking one more time. Please leave. If you don't, I'll call the MPs." A young private at the back, Private Chen, had been watching closely. Something felt off. The way he stood, the way his eyes tracked, the absolute calm. It wasn't confusion, it was stillness. Chen pulled out his phone, stepped away. He called the duty officer. "Sir, Private Chen at Building 14. There's a situation. An elderly civilian claims General Morrison sent for him. Sergeant Davis is about to have him removed." The duty officer sighed. "Name?" "Raymond Carter, sir." Pause. Then, "Say that again." "Carter. Raymond Carter." The line went dead for 5 seconds. When the voice came back, it was different. "Do not let him leave. Do not touch him. I'm calling the general right now." Chen stared at his phone. Back at the entrance, Davis had decided. "All right, that's it, Martinez. Call the MPs." He stepped closer to Raymond, put a hand on his shoulder. "Sir, you need to come with me." Raymond looked at the hand, then at Davis. "You shouldn't have done that, son." Davis's grip on Raymond's shoulder tightened. "Come on, sir. Let's make this easy." Martinez had his phone out, dialing the MPs. The other specialists were watching with a mixture of amusement and second-hand embarrassment. This was taking longer than it should have. "Sergeant," Raymond said quietly, "I'm asking you to remove your hand." "And I'm asking you to leave," Davis shot back. "Looks like neither of us is getting what we want." One of the specialists, Jackson, walked closer. "Yo, check out the patch. Wraith Unit. Sounds like a video game clan." "Probably bought it at a surplus store," Martinez said, phone still to his ear. "Yeah, hi, this is Specialist Martinez at Building 14. We need an MP." Private Chen stepped forward. "Sergeant, maybe we should wait. The duty officer said—" "I don't care what the duty officer said," Davis snapped. "I'm the NCO in charge of this facility. This is my call." He looked down at Raymond. "Sir, I tried to be respectful, but you're forcing my hand here. You're trespassing on a classified training facility. That's a federal offense." Raymond's expression hadn't changed. Still calm, still patient. But something in his eyes shifted. A flicker of something old and dangerous. Davis noticed the patch again, reached down, flicked it with his finger. "Wraith Unit. What's that supposed to mean? You and your buddies played dress-up at the VFW?" The touch was the trigger. For Raymond, the world dissolved completely. The compound vanished. He was in triple canopy jungle, 1971, Laos. No moonlight, no stars, just absolute, suffocating darkness. His unit, 12 men, moving in total silence through enemy territory. They wore first-generation starlight scopes, primitive, heavy, but they were the only ones who had them. The enemy had numbers. They had darkness. He remembered the moment they'd earned the name. A Pathet Lao commander had survived an ambush. His last words, whispered to a captured American pilot. "They are wraiths. Ghosts who see in the night. We cannot fight what we cannot see." The memory snapped back. Raymond was looking at Davis. "That patch was given to me by men who died in places that don't exist on any map. Don't touch it again." Davis laughed, but it was hollow now. The old man's tone had changed. "Well, what? You gonna fight me, Grandpa?" Jackson joined in. "Maybe he'll bore us to death with war stories. Probably thinks he's special ops because he drove a supply truck in Nam," Martinez added, still on hold with the MPs. Chen was backing away, phone in hand. Something was very wrong. The duty officer's reaction. The old man's stillness. The patch he'd never seen before. Inside General Morrison's office, 3 miles away, the phone on his desk rang. He picked it up without looking, eyes on a training report. "Morrison?" "Sir, it's Colonel Hayes from the duty desk. I just got a call from Building 14. "What about it?" "Sir, there's a civilian there. Name is Raymond Carter. Staff Sergeant Davis is about to have him arrested for trespassing." Morrison went completely still. The pen in his hand stopped moving. "Say that name again?" "Carter, sir. Raymond Carter. He claims you sent for him." The general stood up so fast his chair rolled back and hit the wall. "Jesus Christ. I did send for him. That appointment was at 1400. What time is it?" 13:55, sir." "And Davis is what? Detaining him?" "About to, sir. My man on site says Davis has his hand on him." Morrison's face went white, then red. "Get me a vehicle, now. Full escort. I want to be at Building 14 in 2 minutes." He grabbed his jacket. "And Hayes, call Building 14. Tell Davis if he so much as breathes wrong on that man, I will personally end his career." "Yes, sir." Morrison was already moving. He grabbed his tablet, pulled up a classified file. Project Wraith. Eyes only. The file that had taken him 3 days to get clearance to view. The file that made his blood run cold when he read it. He looked at a scanned photo from 1971. 12 men in tiger-stripe fatigues, faces painted black, wearing early night vision equipment. In the center, a young Raymond Carter. Below the photo, 12 deployed, 3 returned. Unit officially never existed. Back at Building 14, Martinez finally got through to the MPs. "Yeah, we need someone at..." His phone beeped. Call waiting. He looked at the screen. His face went pale. Sergeant? It's the duty desk. For you." Davis took the phone, annoyed. "This is Staff Sergeant Davis." The voice on the other end was Colonel Hayes, loud enough that everyone nearby could hear it. "Sergeant, you will remove your hand from that man immediately. You will step back. You will not speak to him. You will not touch him. General Morrison is en route. If you have done anything to disrespect him, God help you." The line went dead. Davis stood frozen, phone in hand. The sound of sirens began in the distance. The convoy appeared over the hill like an avenging storm. 3 vehicles, lights flashing, moving at a speed that said this was not routine. They screeched to a halt in a cloud of dust just yards from Building 14. Davis dropped the phone. His hand fell away from Raymond's shoulder like he'd been burned. The specialists snapped to attention. Martinez looked like he was going to be sick. The rear door of the command vehicle flew open. General Morrison stepped out, 2 stars gleaming on his shoulders. His face was a mask of controlled fury. He didn't acknowledge Davis, didn't look at the specialists. His eyes locked on Raymond Carter. He walked straight to him, his boots hitting the ground with deliberate force. Stopped 3 feet away. Then, in a move that sent shockwave through every soldier present, the general came to attention and rendered the sharpest salute of his career. "Mr. Carter," Morrison said, his voice carrying across the compound. "It is an honor, sir. I apologize for this." Raymond slowly raised his hand, returned the salute. "General." Morrison lowered his arm, turned to face Davis and the specialists. His expression could have stripped paint. "Sergeant Davis," Morrison said, his voice dangerously quiet. "Tell me what happened here." Davis's voice shook. "Sir, the civilian didn't have proper authorization on my roster. He was near restricted equipment. I was securing the facility per protocol." "Protocol." Morrison repeated the word like it tasted bitter. "Did you ask him why he was here?" "He claimed you sent for him, sir, but..." "I did send for him." Morrison stepped closer. "Did you verify with my office before putting your hands on him?" "No, sir." "Did you ask him his name?" "Yes, sir. Raymond Carter. But you didn't find him in the system, because his file is classified at the highest level. You need 4-star clearance just to know he exists." Morrison pointed at the patch on Raymond's jacket. "You see this? This faded piece of fabric you and your men were mocking?" The specialists looked at the ground. "This is the insignia of Project Wraith, a unit so classified it was buried for 50 years. In 1970, the Army created a pilot program. 12 volunteers from Special Forces. They were given experimental night vision technology and sent into Laos and Cambodia, places we weren't officially operating." Morrison's voice grew harder. "Their mission was night interdiction. Cut supply lines, eliminate high-value targets, all in complete darkness. The enemy called them ghosts, said they could see in the dark like demons." He turned to Raymond. "Mr. Carter was the unit's primary scout. They called him Wraith. In 3 years of operations, he personally eliminated 47 confirmed targets.
high-ranking officers, supply convoy leaders, all at night, all without being seen. Jackson's jaw was on the ground. Martinez had gone completely white. Of the 12 men in that unit, only 3 came home. The operations were so sensitive that their families were told they died in training accidents. Their records were sealed. Their medals were classified. Morrison pulled out his tablet, showed them a declassified document. This is from a CIA debrief in 1973. It states that Project Wraith operations disrupted enemy supply chains so severely in the Central Highlands that it shortened the war by an estimated 8 months. He looked at Davis. This man saved thousands of American lives by becoming a predator in the dark. And you mocked him, called his patch a Halloween costume, put your hands on him like he was a trespasser. Davis couldn't speak. His career was over. He knew it. Raymond finally spoke. General, they didn't know. Can't fault them for doing their job. Their job, Morrison said, includes using judgment, showing respect, asking questions before making assumptions. He turned back to Davis. You and your team will report to my office at 0600. We'll discuss your future. But first, you will apologize. Davis faced Raymond, his voice barely a whisper. Sir, I am deeply sorry. There is no excuse for my conduct. The specialists echoed the apology, shame written on their faces. Raymond nodded. You're young. You'll learn. Just remember, the most dangerous people are often the quietest. Morrison gestured toward Building 14. Mr. Carter, I brought you here for a reason. Our night operations training has gotten too dependent on technology, too rigid. I want you to show these soldiers what real night movement looks like. Will you? Raymond looked at the compound, at the young soldiers, a small smile. I can do that. Chen, who'd made the call that saved them, stepped forward. Sir, if I may, how did you see in the dark before modern NVGs? Raymond looked at him. You don't see with your eyes, son. You see with everything else.
6 months later. Building 14 had changed. Staff Sergeant Davis stood in the observation room watching a training exercise below. He hadn't been fired. General Morrison had given him a choice, learn or leave. He chose to learn. The compound below was pitch black. 12 soldiers moved through it. No night vision, no thermal optics, just their training. The training Raymond Carter had spent 3 months teaching them. Davis watched the infrared monitors. The soldiers moved differently now, slower, more deliberate, feeling their way, listening, using shadows and sound. One of them was Martinez. Another was Jackson. The men who'd mocked an old man 6 months ago were now among the best night operators on base. A door opened. Raymond walked in. He came twice a week now. Consultant, observer, teacher. How were they doing? Raymond asked. Better, Davis said. Martinez cleared that hallway in half the time. Didn't trip a single sensor. Raymond nodded, watched the screens. They're starting to understand. Technology is a tool, not a crutch. Davis looked at him. Sir, I wanted to thank you for what you did. You could have ended all our careers. Instead, you taught us. Ending your careers wouldn't have taught you anything, Raymond said. Making you better does. Below, the exercise ended. Lights came up. The soldiers emerged, sweating but successful. They gathered in the debrief room. Raymond walked in. Every soldier stood, not because regulations required it, because respect demanded it. Good work today, Raymond said. You're learning to trust your instincts. That's the hardest part.
Chen raised his hand. Sir, can you tell us about a mission? A real one? Raymond was quiet for a moment, memories flickering behind his eyes. Laos, 1972. My team was tracking a supply convoy, 3 trucks, moving at night. We had to stop them before they reached the border. The room was silent. We had no air support, no backup, just us. We moved parallel to the convoy for 6 hours, completely dark. One of my men stepped on a tripwire. The explosion gave away our position. He paused. The enemy had numbers, but we had the dark. We split up, became ghosts. They fired at shadows. We took them one by one, silent, precise. By dawn, the convoy was stopped, and we were gone. How many of you made it back? Jackson asked quietly. 4 of us went in. 2 came out. Raymond's voice was steady. The other 2, they held the line so we could extract. They died in darkness so others could see daylight. The room was heavy with respect. 3 years later, Davis was now a lieutenant, leading his own night operations unit. He'd written the new training manual, Carter Protocol, Advanced Low-Light Operations. He was in his office when he got the call. Raymond had passed away, peacefully, at home. He was 84. At the funeral, 12 soldiers served as honor guard, all graduates of Raymond's training. They wore dress uniforms, and each had a small black patch on their right sleeve. Not officially authorized, but worn anyway. A white skull with night vision goggles. The Wraith. General Morrison gave the eulogy. Raymond Carter taught us that darkness isn't something to fear. It's something to master. He showed us that the most important weapon isn't the one you carry. It's the discipline you cultivate. After the ceremony, Davis approached the casket, placed his hand on it. Thank you, Wraith. You taught me to see. Martinez and Jackson stood beside him. Chen was there too. The men who'd laughed at an old man, who'd learned humility, who'd become better because someone chose to teach rather than punish. The Army officially declassified Project Wraith 2 months later. Raymond's name was added to the Special Operations Memorial, not just as a participant, as a legend. Building 14 was renamed Carter Hall, a plaque at the entrance in honor of CW5 Raymond Wraith Carter. He taught us that true operators don't need light. They become it. Some heroes carry guns. Others carry lessons. The measure of a warrior isn't just in what they destroy. It's in what they build. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe for stories that prove the greatest warriors often teach the hardest lessons with the most grace.